Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar with Got Bakey. My name is Emily. I am the campaign lead here at Birchal. And just before I introduce you to Jay and Jeremiah, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I'm coming to you from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. So today I'm joined by Jay Curtin, who is the founder of Got Bakey, and also Jeremiah from their team. So Birchal is working with Got Bakey, or as you might know them, Got Cakey originally, on their upcoming crowdsource funding offer. You might be asking, what is crowdsource funding or CSF? Or you may know it as equity crowdfunding, but it's a relatively new form of fundraising here in Australia that allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors, as well as wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform such as Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, and often that's their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for this offer, and I do want to remind everybody who's here today that the information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice or a recommendation to invest. So please do your own research and always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. If you do need any more information, please head over to birchal.com or shoot us through an email at support@birchal.com so we can get back to you. Now, how today's session is going to run, I'll hand over in a minute to Jay, who is going to take us through a great presentation all about Got Bakey, where they've come from and what they're looking to achieve with this capital raise. We'll then switch to a Q&A session. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little Q&A bubble. So if you have any questions during today's session, please pop it in the box as we go along, and we'll endeavour to answer as many of those as possible during the Q&A time at the end. We're also recording today's session, so if you do need to jump off early or you'd like to send this through to somebody who you think might be interested, a recording will be sent around. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the team at Got Bakey.
Welcome, everybody. For those of you that haven't met me before, I'm Jay and I am one of the co-founders of Got Bakey. Thank you so much for your time. I understand it is a bit difficult getting to these seminars, especially trying to shuffle the commitments of work and so forth. So thanks again for being here, and I hope we can cover some really exciting ground for you today. But I want to do this webinar a little bit differently. And I know we often go into the problems and the solution. But firstly, I'd just like to start by asking you to do one thing, and that is to silence that negative critic that we all tend to have in our heads when it comes to technology, that, well, people are coping somehow. It's going okay. They must be coping okay. So, why is it worth fixing? So I think that is something that a lot of people, when it comes to tech investments, a lot of people go, well, it's working just fine. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So I'd like you to sort of, be conscious of the fact that our brains automatically go to that, but actually push that aside and really open up your minds to understand where those challenges are and where the opportunities lie. So thanks again, and we will head into this webinar. So I just really wanted to start with really pinpointing a statement of change. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, Got Bakey is doing this, is doing that. I really want to start with what has actually changed in the world. And, in the space that we operate, the big change statement that we're facing is consumers are just so demanding nowadays. I think we can all understand from a consumer perspective that even ourselves as consumers are demanding a lot more from our brands. We are demanding a lot more from the user experience and websites and so on that are around. Where everything is available at the click of a button, user experiences are amazing. It's extremely frustrating as a consumer when you do hit something that is very clunky and it doesn't make your shopping experience very pleasurable. So as I've said, the big change in nowadays is that consumers, me included, are becoming so demanding. And brands and companies need to evolve with that. They need to recognize that and ensure that the journey we're taking our consumers on are, catering to their desire for hyper-personalization. Okay, so a little bit more about the problem that we're solving here at Got Bakey. So I'm sure that I have people on this webinar today that may have small businesses and would be familiar with e-commerce solutions such as Shopify, Magento, and WooCommerce, for example. So there's a lot of e-commerce solutions out there that are built for everyday people, small to large businesses, to be able to set up an online presence and start selling their products online. But in the cake market, which is a very hyper customized market, there really is nothing, there really is a gap in the technology that is offered to be able to handle hyper customized orders. So we look at the likes of Shopify, WooCommerce, and Magento, which were largely made for if you want to sell t-shirts or books or shoes or electronics. It wasn't really made for the needs of hyper customized ordering, such as cakes. I mean, it's an extremely creative a space where no cake or baked goods is hardly ever the same. So we're not here to solve outdated technology for the cake industry. We are here to build an amazing technical stack for a part of the market that has gone, I don't know if we'd say unnoticed, but certainly underserved. The options out there for bakers, it just doesn't cater to the hyper-customized market that they're operating in. And when we look at Magento, WooCommerce, and Shopify, yes, we have bakers out there that are utilizing those generic off-the-shelf solutions, but they're choosing them out of necessity, not because they're optimal. So I just really wanted to make that case first. I also want to move into the fact that when you order a cake, it's rarely going to be a generic, easy process. So when you're ordering cakes, there are so many elements to ordering those cakes that these out-of-the-box generic e-commerce solutions that exist in the broader market, they just simply can't cut it. So we've understood there's a gap there, and we're building a technical stack to be able to support that, and also develop, become a lead generator as well. So what this boils down to, back to that chain statement at the front, is consumers nowadays expect quick, easy, and efficient. They want to be wowed. They want a pleasurable user experience for anything that they want to buy online. But it just seems that this hyper customized market of cakes has really been left alone. And that we do have a few people in this space trying to solve this issue. And unfortunately, they seem to be going about it by using these same very generic out-of-the-box solutions. So we're not the only one trying to scratch the surface here. It is a genuine problem. It is a massively trending market where lots of people are wanting personalized cakes, but yet there is no technology stack that is really set up from day one to be able to handle that level of hyper customization. So here at Got Bakey, I suppose we can smell the scent of opportunity right here, right in front of us, to build something that no one really is interested in building, that is going to have a far-reaching result, which can scale to other countries as well. Okay, getting into a little bit about who we are and how we started. So here at Got Bakey, we are a tech-driven marketplace, and we're solving the tech gap in hyper-customized industries. So for those of you that don't know what a two-sided marketplace is, it is essentially a platform that connects bakers with buyers, or, in the household, if you're needing your windows washed or your lawns mowed, it's going to connect service providers with, household consumers. So we've got things like Airtasker, Uber Eats, Uber, and so on. Etsy is another one in that creative space. Well, here at Got Bakey, we are essentially the same thing. So we are connecting bakers with buyers. Now, yes, our platform also provides a lot of tools to be able to assist bakers to run their business, but we are also we have the lead generation aspect as well, which is the two-sided marketplace. Our company was founded a couple of years ago now by myself and my son. He's grown a lot. He would be here today, but he is at school. And this concept of building a technology stack suited for the hyper customized cake market came as a result of me not being a good baker. I could never find a cake when I needed one for my children. I was extremely busy, working a lot. And when I needed to find something and find it in a hurry, it was just a very painful experience trying to find a cake when you needed one. There was no aggregator within the market that pulled everyone together and where I could browse easily, find what I wanted, or order something custom and then check out and off I go. It was literally a 3 to 4 hour search spread over multiple days and multiple platforms. So I'd end up just not getting my kids a cake, or I would go to the neighbor's house and beg them, please, can you do me something, 2 days before the event. So it was my son that actually came up with the idea that he had a small business. He sold slime, believe it or not, and he was very, very good at making and selling slime all over Perth. And we moved to a small country town and he couldn't do that anymore. And he said, Mum, you never buy me a cake. Why don't we try and solve this issue? And fast forward quite a few years, here we are. And Got Bakey is the result of a lot of planning, testing, and capital raising. And here we are with a fantastic product that is early revenue. We've reached that point of validation. We now have a product that we can confirm that people are happy to pay for and use, and more and more features in design as we speak. So we are focused on making things easier for bakers. We're focused on providing them finally a technical stack that is going to allow them to build their business, grow and thrive. None of this having to take people off our platform, do all the communicating over on WhatsApp or Instagram because their generic WooCommerce, Shopify or Magento site can't handle the customization part. They won't need to do that anymore. We have built this technical stack from day one to make their lives easier and by default create a very pleasurable experience for consumers who are essentially driving our market and are increasingly getting angry when brands like us, probably even companies that attendees have here, consumers demand more. They want more from these brands, and we're here to give that to them. So that's a bit of an overview about who we are. Okay, why we're different. Look, Got Bakey, as I've already mentioned, Got Bakey has been developed from day one with hyper customization in mind. We didn't start with a Hyundai Excel and then suddenly decide that we're going to put a set of fatties on it and we're going to change out the gearbox and put another diff in it and then suddenly want to take our car four-wheel driving. From day one, we knew what we wanted. From day one, we knew the challenges and we knew the secret sauce that we needed to become unstoppable in this market. So in a nutshell, compared to these other, generic solutions that bakers have in this market, we've been built specifically for hyper customized orders. And we are, in my opinion, unlike any other e-commerce platform that is out there with the features and the technical stack and obviously the team that we have to deliver on that. So with our software, which is app, so 98% of users prefer to use the app over website, which doesn't surprise me either with, all of the trending data coming back, from consumer retail. But with our app, it's really quite funky. You can buy directly from bakers through their online store, which is what everyone would be familiar with now. Jump on, buy a pair of Nike sneakers from the Nike store, simply find your size, add to cart, check out. So we do have that option available within Got Bakey, where bakers can list their product. It's literally only weeks old. We launched that I suppose around mid-September. So buyers can go into the app, they can browse the stores, they can add to cart, items from that shop. But if they can't find what they're looking for, we have a very, very, very powerful quoting feature within the app. So they can actually request custom quotes from a specific baker, or they can go out to everyone who is around. So where our software and I suppose our business and our value proposition is compared to our competitors is I suppose what you can say is we have a second mover advantage. Is we've got the benefit of being able to look at what everyone has done before us. We've been able to see where they've fallen over, and what we need to build moving forward. But we offer a full suite of services and solutions for bakers to thrive in this market, from instant adding to cart, through quoting, through business management tools, invoice generation, and so forth. And our competitors out there, look, I suppose you can say that the Cheesecake Shop is a competitor too. They do sell cakes here in Australia. They're an iconic name. We love them, but they are mass-produced cakes. Now, they do offer some customization with their business model. They're even struggling to manage that as well, taking all of those custom inquiries off their platforms over to individual store Instagram pages, WhatsApp chats, you name it. It's as clunky as. So they're a competitor in a way just by their dominance and size in the market. If we're trying to compare apples with apples, we do have some smaller competitors that have been around a little bit longer than us, who seem to be trying to solve the same problem as us, which is very comforting for us. We're not the only ones that have spotted this problem. There's safety in numbers. If we've got multiple competitors out there, frustrated with this issue and also smelling that scent of opportunity in an underserved market, that's a pretty good indication that we're working in a place where there is opportunity. So, but as I've mentioned earlier on, these competitors are using the out-of-box generic solutions that I've referenced aren't made for hyper-customized orders. They're trying to make modifications to those technical stacks and still not really getting anywhere. So we've been able to come into this market, have a really good squizzy at what everyone is doing, where they're falling short, and actually from day one build a technical stack that is going to be able to thrive and scale. So that is why we're different. Also, we've got an amazing team. I am very, very, very proud of our team. We have one of them on the panel today, which is Jeremiah. Jeremiah is our CTO. But look, we went into this knowing that 60% of Got Bakey is tech. It is about building that back end, that technical stack, to be able to thrive and outperform our competitors in that technical space. So 60% of our business is technical, and then we'd have 40% of our business is actually branding and marketing, with another 20% operational. So we've gone into this from day one with not only understanding we need amazing tech. We went into it knowing we had to build that from scratch, and we needed some very, very smart people, sitting around our table to actually build that. So I'm very proud of the team, very heavy in tech and also cutting edge. We're a nimble startup. We move quickly. We can find the resources we need. So being able to say that, compared to our competitors, we've got the skills of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, full stack development, developer sitting right here with us, Jeremiah, as well as our technical team, and that's looking to grow as well. It just goes to show that as a startup, we've come into this knowing exactly what we need to do, who we need to recruit to be unstoppable. And our competitors, a couple of them I know have not gone about it this way, actually opting for off-the-shelf, out-of-the-box solutions to try and solve this issue. So we are very different. We are only just getting up and boogieing. So we've just transitioned out of beta. After this raise, our focus is really going to be our advertising campaign to start getting those sales happening in our core capital cities. So yeah, we've only been around a couple of years. We've already tripled our user numbers compared to our closest competitor in this market. So we're very proud of that. So I think I've touched on why we're different there. I'm going to move into our tech now, and you will be able to see a drastic difference after hearing me talk about tech. to when Jeremiah starts talking about tech. So I'm going to hand over to Jeremiah now. So Jeremiah, would you mind giving us a little bit of an intro about you, your time with Got Bakey, and what you've seen, in our team and our vision for the future?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks all for joining today. I'm Jeremiah. I've been in software and technology now for 18 years. I've worked in roles across software engineering, marketing, product management, sales, and customer success. I've been part of the journey from very early stage startups through exit. I've worked in late stage startups as well as publicly traded multinational companies. I work a lot now with companies across various industries. So I've worked in space, IoT, AI, healthcare, sports, B2B SaaS, and in consumer software with the Got Bakey team. So I've been doing this for quite a long time. What I will say is I joined Jay and the team after they really got a lot of the initial work done. So it's very impressive to come in and see all that Jay was able to accomplish with, as she says, she understands it well enough. But she was looking for someone to come with experience that can help guide the team, provide a bit more insight and direction to how we build things going forward. But one of the first things I did for Jay and the team was just have a look at everything that had been built, the technical stack that was in place. And my initial reaction was very good. The team had been thinking about scalability from day one. They built it on a stack that's portable, using cross-platform SDKs for the mobile app side of things, making it easy to have a single code base that serves multiple platforms. All of the things that we've done on the internal side for administration and support for our customers and the internal team, all done in lightweight technologies and done in a way that's scalable as well for cost, so that we can manage all of that well as the platform grows and the usage on the platform grows. And then from day one, Jay already had started talking to me about different ideas, and a lot of things that we can do going forward that will not only improve the user experience, but allow us to do things more efficiently. So we've been talking about a number of ways that we can incorporate artificial intelligence, including the use of large language models to intelligently create listings and make the platform more scalable. We see more listings, integrations with computer vision technologies to automate listings. So there's a lot of unique and exciting things that we plan to do in the coming months and years. And part of this raise will enable us to do that. So we're very excited. The team's very excited to grow and to bring on some additional help and expertise in those areas.
Amazing. Jeremiah, what are your thoughts on the current solutions that are out there for hyper customized markets? And, the fact that we do have some competitors out there who have, obviously stumbled on the same issue that we have, but they're going about it the wrong way, just not understanding really how important that technical stack is, that getting that right from day one. And that there is a gap there. You just can't jump onto Shopify or WooCommerce. It's not that they're built on simplicity and scale. They've been so successful at building themes and solutions for ma and pa to build websites on, but they really are for your t-shirt or shoe kind of businesses. And I suppose just really talking about that opportunity that is sitting there right now for a technical stack like ours.
We've actually, Jay and I have talked about this a lot. And when we look at some of the other competitors that are in market, specifically those that are in market for cakes, it reflects what you see on a Shopify store. It's very transactional. We have a number of products and inventory, and you can buy and purchase those directly from us with no changes to those products. So I want a chocolate cupcake and I want 12 of them. Whereas what we've seen is that the biggest gap in the market is for bakers who have customized requests. And it could be as simple as accessories on those cupcakes or a much more in-depth customization to a cake that might have very specific items that that individual wants reflected in the design of the cake. So it has to actually be a much more interactive process between the baker and the buyer. And that's missing on those more traditional e-commerce websites. They're not really multi-sided marketplaces, whereas what Jay and the team and what we're building now is a true multi-sided marketplace that allows for that interaction between the baker, which is the creative in this case, and the buyer who has, you know, a specific set of requirements for the customized cake that they're trying to purchase. When I first joined Jay and the team, one of the first things I did was try to go out and buy a customized cake without using Got Cakey. And what you find is that you're having to repeat the same process of trying to define what it is you're looking for, and then directly contact each individual baker in your local area, determining whether or not that they've seen your request, if they've, you know, made an attempt to respond to your request. It's kind of all like looking inside of a black box. You don't really know if anyone's actually responding to or looking at your feedback. And then when you finally do reach out to people and hear back from them, it's as if you're having to have the same conversations over and over again. And what's been built through Got Bakey is something that really simplifies and makes that process much more efficient. And again, it's very user experience centric in the way that we've designed and built things. So it's less technical, but more on the user experience side, which I think is equally important. It's really listening to the bakers and buyers and understanding the challenges that they've had and building software and technology that addresses those needs. So it's less to do with the actual ways that we build it on the back end or technically we're doing things, but how we've actually implemented a user experience that meets real challenges and needs in that transaction process between a custom baker and a buyer that's wanting to get as many options from bakers in their local area as possible.
Cool. I've got an experience from about, I'd say nearly 10 years ago. And they say every founder, it's very rare that a founder has a success straight away. They may have 1 or 2 failures tucked away, skeletons in their closet. I remember about 10 years ago, Jeremiah, so my background is work health and safety risk, so very different to cakes. I was in the mining and construction industry, and I saw an opportunity to connect safety and risk professionals with these large mining companies and principal contractors. So once again, I saw an opportunity, and I underestimated how important the technical stack was to be able to efficiently run that. So I'm looking for your, I suppose, facial expression when I tell you what I did, and maybe explanation, because I think this is very poignant to Got Bakey. Is all those years ago, I remember just Googling two-sided marketplace, and I remember narrowing it down to 2 out-of-the-box solutions that were on offer. I think it was about $2,500 I ended up paying for well, I suppose you could call it a framework, a back end, a generic off-the-shelf product, $2,500 for a two-sided marketplace that I then needed to get some devs to put a skin on it, make some minor changes. But it was riddled with problems. And I thought a two-sided marketplace is a two-sided marketplace. But the intricacies of what I needed to do with my user experience, it just didn't. It was like a massive bolt on. And every time I needed to do something, I just had to get something else. And it was just so clunky that it didn't even work properly anymore. But what I learned in that experience was the importance of user discovery and really understanding that nowadays, what do users want? What's the journey they're going to want to go on? And making sure that you have a technical stack that is reflective of that very important journey. So I suppose what I'm looking for here from you is just your view on, even if, like, we know that like WooCommerce and Magento and Shopify, they're not two-sided marketplaces, but I do know there's heaps of people in India trying to bang out all of these, generic things that you can buy. They've got a whole library of them. What is the risk? So if we look at competitors coming in, going, look at Got Bakey, wow, they've identified this, underserved market. Let's just go and get something off the shelf from India, and put a skin on it and off we go. What challenges are they going to come up against? And my story that I've told you before is that, do you hear that quite commonly?
Yeah, I mean, a large part of my consulting practice is has been over the years helping startup founders who didn't have any internal technical expertise. They may have gone out and purchased a pre-built generic solution and then tried to modify that using either app builder or web builder tools that exist on things like Shopify, or even with Flutter and Flutter Flow and some of those different tools. Like the quality of the product is generally very low, but also the ability for them to continue doing things beyond a certain level without having to make customizations or have engineering expertise or the ability to modify parts of the underlying code became very restrictive and difficult. In many cases, having to then start from scratch and rebuild their platform from ground up. But also just in some cases, the number of security risks, decisions that are made about the technical stack are very locked in. So if you go too far down that track and start growing your user base, it can be very difficult, time and resource intensive. So in other words, cost a lot of money to sort of rebuild things from the ground up. And when we talk about, when we just go through the user experience of having to communicate to a potential buyer all of the options that they have when they want to customize their cake, there is no off-the-shelf product that will have that built into it. So you're trying to make things work that weren't designed for that user experience. So you get sort of half-finished solutions that they are close to being workable, but not really servicing the requirement or the need of the buyer or the baker. So either the buyer can't communicate all of the options that they would like from the bakers, and bakers aren't able to communicate all of the different types of customizations, including flavors or icings, or even the types of tiers and fillings and all these other things that go into making cakes. That doesn't, none of that is off the shelf with any of these sort of pre-built platforms or two-sided marketplaces. And then also is just you're inheriting someone else's code, which when you eventually do bring on your own internal team, there's a long lag of trying to understand what's been built, what can be edited, and ultimately that again slows down your ability to scale, slows down your ability to create new features and to be responsive to your customers' needs. I find that more often than not, it just simply doesn't work. And I am with clients or people I've worked with in the past that have come to me because they've gotten 70% of the way there and realized they have a huge problem. And we either have to go back to the drawing board and build from the ground up, or we see how much further we can limp along this thing that they've built to at least get product market fit and those types of things.
So how did you feel? How did you feel when Jay came to you and she didn't have an out-of-box solution? She had something that was built from day one for this hyper customized market. Was that exciting for you to see that somebody tackling something that is so underserved, with a really well thought through, technical stack? Was that refreshing for you, given your time as a, very, very highly regarded person in this industry? Was that great to see?
I mean, it's surprising. I think I assumed.
But I do like to surprise.
Yeah, well, when we got connected through a mutual contact, and I think when I was introduced to you, I just assumed that it would be the same conversation I've had with most people. They've hired a third party to either build something for them, or they purchased an off-the-shelf product and tried to modify it and have had a lot of trouble and are trying to now kind of figure out what to do because they've reached the limits of what's possible. Also, they generally are working with a team where there are lots of concerns or issues. So I just assumed that you'd be coming to me saying, I've tried working with this engineering team and it's not going well. I'm having trouble getting, them to be responsive to input or feedback or get things done or explain to me why certain things can't be done. And you didn't have any of those issues. So when we started off, we were starting off on a really good footing. It was more about how do we improve what's being done internally,
Yeah.
and prepare for sort of the future of the product and where you wanted to take things. But there wasn't anything that we talked about initially that wasn't possible, that you weren't stuck in a corner because of the previous decisions you had made. It was more about how do we accelerate things from here.
Yeah, look, and for all the attendees, we kind of, it's a growing pains. We're a startup, and our product is evolving, and I'm leading the company from a visionary perspective and corporate perspective. My knowledge in the technical aspect is very, very, very slight. So we got to that stage where our product was growing, and it was time to bring in a CTO to really, pull those reins in nice and tight, understand, where those loopholes are, weaknesses, where our strengths were, and so on. And it's been absolutely instrumental having Jeremiah on board, our development team. Whilst there have been some difficult conversations in the past, which you would expect, with a company growing at the rate that we are, our development team are absolutely rapt that to have somebody like Jeremiah on board with us. We're very, very lucky to have him on board. So thank you so much, Jeremiah, for being on here today and talking about tech. I do know, no offense to you, Jeremiah, but for some people, tech can be a hard thing to swallow and it can be quite dry. I find it extremely interesting. But if we haven't lost you and you are still on here, thank you very much. I hope, if anything, if some of the words that Jeremiah is talking about didn't really land, I hope at least it's given you the confidence of knowing we have a fantastic person. Jeremiah is also a director of Got Bakey as well, so he sits on our board and he sits in the CTO, which is Chief Technical Officer position, and he's helping us shape that, our technical strategy moving forward. So thank you so much for that, Jeremiah. Hopefully that was really, really useful for everyone. But look, I want to just quickly touch on a few milestones. I've already talked about our competitors, so I might skip that part. Let's just talk about ending on a high note before we go to questions. We've had some really incredible milestones that I wouldn't mind mentioning. And look, the first one is we are early revenue stage. So we've completed our beta, whichever you like. So what that means is when you start a technical company, we were very lucky with Got Bakey that our first ever raise with Birchal was fantastic. And we were just at the concept stage. We didn't have really anything other than some colors and a logo to show everybody. And we garnered so much interest and support. It was absolutely incredible. I think it even blew Birchal's mind to see how many people believed in this product and this problem that we were solving. Anyway, so at that point, we raised capital on just an idea. And we then had to go through the design stage, and then we went to our wireframing, which is just literally like a black and white sketch of what everything was going to look like. We then went into the development stage, and then after a painful, I'd say 14 or 15 months, we launched our beta, and it was terrible. So we had bugs and things stopped working, which, that's what beta is all about, is, to get your software working in a real-time environment. But look, 9 months on, we haven't even paid for any marketing, and we have a user base of over 5,000 users, and we have about, I think it's 500 bakers on board. Now, a lot of them have probably come through, these investment campaigns, but guys, we have around 5,500 strong user base for a company that has been in beta. That has really only reached that validation stage. It's absolutely incredible. I'm absolutely thrilled to be at this point in the company, in the company's journey. we've had definitely far more than 30 plus version releases. So when we start looking at, like when a startup matures and, tries to, find that level of normality, the advice I've had, Jeremiah, you might, have something else to say here, is when you're at 300 plus revisions, generally you're at a good place. Look, we're 30 plus, that actually probably could be more than that, but that, it's not, and when I'm talking to people that are not familiar with the tech space, I know I used to many years ago, when I'd see an app on the App Store and I'd see how many revisions it's had, I'd go, oh, well, that must be a piece of rubbish. It must just keep breaking down. I don't want to download that thing. But, I'm more experienced now and understand that it's those high levels of, bug fixes, feature releases, and so on, that shows that you've got a very, very engaged and a very active development team who are constantly tweaking, changing, improving, committed to, understanding, where those bottlenecks are, where, any bugs are, because when you're dealing with tech, nothing's ever going to be perfect. So look, that number 30 plus is really quite insignificant compared to, where I hope to get to 12 months from now. But yeah, 30 plus revisions of a product that's been in beta with a 5,500 user base with no advertising, man, I am so proud of that, especially when our closest competitor is struggling at less than half of that, less than a third of that. Also, we have waitlisted bakers in the UK. So I also have inquiry coming from the USA. I'm actually having to find excuses on why I have to keep telling these people that they can't download our app. We're not going to turn our app on in the UK or the USA until we know that it's ready to cross borders. All of our currency converters are right, our VAT, and there's a lot of accounting stuff. We hope to do a test late this year. It may roll into early next year, and that test is going to be in the UK. We have got our legal and financial advisory team already. We've partnered with them in the UK, so we're in a really good place there. But once again, really stoked to be, having lots of things to say no to than nothing to say yes to, right? So great to see that the word is spreading and people want this app in other countries. I've just got my little screen here is just covering these last things. And yeah, just another comment about our competitors there. We've nearly tripled their user base in the little 12 months that we've been in beta. It just goes to show the uptake that we've got and the upside and opportunity that exists in front of us. And last but not least, our amazing tech team, which is led by Jeremiah. I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't, our chairman is also a lawyer for Got Bakey, and I cannot tell you how wonderful it is as a founder and CEO sitting on the board of a company like Got Bakey, and I've got these absolute Hulk smashers, like Jeremiah, you're a Hulk smash. Emma Walshak, our lawyer and chairman, she is a Hulk smash. She just wears a skirt. I've got all these Hulk smashers around Blaze and I. And it is so comforting because I know, I can feel it in my bones. We are set up for huge success. I know that we're going to have some hurdles in front of us. We've had them. We're going to continue to have them. But we have the team to make this absolutely sing. We have got a technical stack here for a underserved and a gap in the market that we are going to go hard at. And we have everything I suppose, we have everything we need to make a huge go of this. But that brings us back to the reason today of why we are here, is we're here to raise capital. We are here to raise capital, not because we spent all the money and we've wasted it on, all of these things that we didn't need. When you are a tech company and you're pre-revenue, and even when you're early revenue, let's look at us. If we say that in our beta, we've made 100 sales on, to real users that, we haven't even met before. That's absolutely epic to think that, in 9 months, we've done those sales to real people who've paid for our product. We've been able to double our feature set by more than 50% in that time. Look, that is absolutely incredible. But I just, for those retail investors, and I know we have a very, very high percentage of retail investors already invested in Got Bakey, is when you back tech companies like Got Bakey or, fintech, payment companies, whatever it might be, is these companies do not begin to make money. Well, one, you've got to have the right model. Two, you've got to have the right team. But if you can then raise the capital to get you to critical mass, that's when you start to see the scale of economy begin to work, the Uber Eats and so on. But until then, and economies of scale are not reached until probably year 4 or year 5. Now, that means that these startup companies like Got Bakey, we need to be raising capital regularly. We need to be raising a decent amount of capital, every 12 months to make sure the company has the money in the coffers to give itself a runway so it can continue on. Without runway, without capital, that means I've got to fire Jeremiah. I've got to fire our tech team. I've got to go and get another job. And then when I'm doing another job, I don't have the time to run the company. And eventually what happens is your company goes into hibernation. And it's not just Got Bakey, it's any tech company at the earliest stage. But your company goes into hibernation because you don't have the capital to have the people to build, to get the metrics, to then attract the very large check sizes. And talking about check sizes, where Got Bakey is we're somewhere between seed and pre-series A. And it's growing pains. I hate pain, but this is a pain that I'm very proud to have, is where we're too big for a small check, but we're still too small for a big check. We're at that awkward time. So this raise is extremely important for Got Bakey to build our runway while we start looking for that wholesale investment. So for those that are coming back and reinvesting again, I hope that has given you a little bit more of a window into why companies like Got Bakey need to keep raising money, because that critical mass is not going to come for us, and us being self-sufficient won't come until we're probably selling 3,000 or 4,000 cakes a month. And that's going to take time to do. So that's it for me, Emily. Do we have any questions, or Emily, do you have any questions? Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want me to touch on?
Yeah, I absolutely do. If you want to just stop sharing your screen so I can get more of a focus on your faces, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. So one of the main questions that we always think about for tech companies is, how do you keep people's data safe that are signed up to the app?
Okay, it's a technical question, Jeremiah. Over to you.
Sorry, I want to make sure I understood the question. Like, how do we keep members? How do we keep people engaged?
Members are, whether that be people purchasing cakes and baked goods, or whether that be bakers themselves, how do you keep their data safe?
Oh, how do you keep their data safe? Yeah, absolutely. We use infrastructure as a service for all of our backend. So we're using AWS. We're using traditional, kind of widely adopted, well-supported backend technologies, where a lot of that security is baked in. But also just through regular audits and reviews with the team. So we're doing peer code reviews to make sure that someone's not just shipping code that hasn't been reviewed by someone else, to make sure that we don't have those gaps in the process. And when it comes to most of the user data, it's just ensuring that we have appropriate separations of data so that if we don't need to have any data, a certain user's data attached to their identity, we don't. So we keep that anonymized wherever we can.
Great, thank you. That was a great technical explanation of that for sure. So in terms of where you've come from since your first raise, obviously you've gone through different stages of the app. What are you looking to achieve with this next raise?
Next raise, from a user perspective, we're looking to quadruple our baker numbers over the next 12 months. And if we do, so we're going to do our test in the UK, and should we raise sufficient capital, then we can allocate some spend to advertising in the UK to grow those numbers. So we do have we're looking at actually doing that test in Bristol in the UK. So if all goes well and our raise goes well, we will put some spend there to, I suppose, should our maiden trial or our maiden run go well, then we'll put some money there. And then that will help grow those numbers as well. But everything comes back down to how well this raise goes, because the less that we raise, the less that we have to be able to put into advertising. And that goes for Australia as well. So we're keeping our expectations realistic at this stage around baker recruitment. So our goal there is quadrupling existing baker numbers by this time next year, and that will take us to just over 2,000 bakers on board. But secretly, I'm looking for a lot more than that. And with our marketing and our branding and our amazing technical stack that no one else has, I suspect it's going to be a lot more than 2,000 bakers, especially also one of the things that we have been talking behind the scenes is offering an API to a white labeled version of Got Bakey for some very large global franchises that are very, very brands very well known to everybody on this seminar, on this webinar today. So that will instantly give us a massive user base. So yeah, growing the user base for bakers, and also we haven't done. We have had a few challenges and a few little niggering comments from bakers going, oh, I want to see, more advertising. So they're obviously wanting more sales to come through, but we haven't actually started any buyer advertising yet. What has happened has been purely organic, because we were still building our tech. So we launched a beta. We launched with a quoting feature, and we thought that was going to be what everyone wanted. But believe it or not, because it was so new, bakers struggled. They were like, well, how do we sort of use it? They were used to a typical e-commerce solution where you add something to cart and check out. So we spent a good 6 months building the baker shop feature. So we launched with a deep quoting feature. We've then spent 6 months building a baker shop feature. So we now are quoting as well as instant e-commerce. So while you're in that process of heavy building and testing, you don't want to go and start bringing too much attention your way with buyers, because there's going to be bugs, there's going to be things that go wrong. And we'd rather run that and test that on a small audience than, on hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So we haven't started our buyer marketing yet, and that will start within the next few weeks, because obviously we're doing this raise. So it's quadrupling our baker numbers. It's increasing our user base by from 5,000 to 15,000. And then there's a technical aspect. So I might ask Jeremiah to talk about 2 key features that I feel once these features are in place, I believe we're already a force to be reckoned with, but we are going to put significant space between us and our competitors once these 2 features come live. And that is Instagram syncing. So what we're finding is bakers are getting onto the app, and then they've got to actually go through the camera roll, find a picture, create a listing, put a description, and then they've got to do that 20 times because they've got 20 things. And they're like, we're busy mums, I'm just not finding the time. So Jeremiah is working with the dev team to be able to sync with Instagram. So our app very soon will be able to sync with Instagram and automatically, using AI, create the listings for them. So they don't need to lift a finger. What would be, potentially a probably 6 or 7 minute investment of time on the baker's end per listing may go down to 1 minute. So syncing with Instagram is a huge feature coming, and also our calendar feature. Unfortunately, at the moment, we can't allow bakers to block out annual leave. So we're building that out as well, which will come with other features. But Jeremiah, is there anything about those 2 features that, considering we're going to be putting money from this raise to them, is there anything that you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think we have to grow the engineering team. So part of this raise, Jay and I have talked about, we will bring on some additional engineering resources to help support the growth of the current product roadmap, but also as we intend to quadruple the baker user base and triple the buyer user base, there's just inherent support needs required. And right now, we don't have any one person on the engineering team dedicated to bugs and fixes and support. So building out that capability to make sure we're ultra responsive to our customers when they have issues. And then on the new development side of things, these features that we're talking about on the Instagram instant to shop sort of feature, and the calendar side of things, these are very big epics that require a lot of engineering resources and time. So I think having that additional resource just allows us to get those features to market more at a faster rate, with accelerating the development life cycle for those things. In particular, I think this idea of allowing our bakers to use their Instagram profiles to instantly fill out their shops means that we can onboard bakers faster than ever before. So right now, onboarding a baker, getting their attention, getting them to sign up is one thing, but then actually having them fill out their profile, build out their baker shop, when they're already very busy is quite challenging. So it's just a really important feature, and the faster we can get that to market, means the faster we can scale and onboard a larger number of bakers. So we've talked about it. It's ultra important. But it's also really cool. So we'll be using things like computer vision to look at the images in that user's Instagram profile, identify that it's a 3-tier chocolate cake, look at all of their previous listings and history to identify commonalities between all of the cakes that they offer, and the options that they offer. And with very little effort, a baker is able to add a listing to their account, which is something that you don't even see on a number of other more traditional e-commerce platforms. So really exciting and innovative stuff that we're doing.
Jeremiah, like hearing you talk about that, even though I know about what's coming, I'm even getting excited, and I'm not hearing it for the first time. I'm getting excited from a defensibility point of view. Like, how do you feel about the levels of, the moat that we're putting around our castle here? These features that we're developing using cutting edge technology that is out in the market at the moment to build Got Bakey. Do you feel that our competitors around us, not the big, mass-produced cake competitors, they're just in a different market, but, the people that have tried to build marketplaces or databases to connect before, like, are we literally putting massive distance between us and them, with these kind of features?
I think so. I think what they've probably all run up against is that bakers are busy. One of the reasons that we exist is that we're trying to make this process more efficient and easy to lighten the load on bakers. They want to spend their time doing creative things, not spending time doing administrative things. And so our platform allows them to spend more time baking and less time, working off the laptop to try and resolve customer questions and issues and those sorts of things. So I do think that when we've looked at the other competitors in the past, they've gotten to a point where they realize they couldn't quite figure out a solution to that, and they've pivoted more to being more of a delivery service and focusing more of their energy and effort on being a platform that is specialized in helping deliver cakes to individuals. And they haven't really cracked or figured out how to do the user experience in such a way that bakers would be happy to onboard in that way.
Awesome, thank you. It does look like we've run out of time today, but if anybody does have any additional questions, you can reach out to the Got Bakey team via their Birchal profile. There is a message button that you can just click on and you can get in touch with the Got Bakey team. If you haven't expressed interest already, please do so via their Birchal profile so that you can be kept up to date with any updates, as well as be informed when their offer does go live to the public and you can invest. But I want to say thank you so much, Jeremiah and Jay, for your time today. We really, really appreciate it. It's really exciting to see what you've already achieved and what you're looking to achieve in the future.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks,
Thanks,
Jeremiah. And thanks everyone for sitting through.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.